Hello, everyone, and we've been talking about why altcoins have not performed well. Have a lot of reasons, perps and futures and leverage, obviously, but there is another factor playing in all of this where all that money is going. And it may not be good news to altcoin investors, especially of smaller altcoins, that hundreds of billions of dollars have gone into crypto treasuries instead of altcoins. Also, they've gone into or back into Bitcoin, and technical indicators suggest that there is a rotation back into Bitcoin that is happening. Now, that might actually change if the prices go higher. But for right now, it seems like the money is being sucked out of pretty much all altcoins and going back into Bitcoin. I think even BNB's seen some of these effects because recently BNB has gone down about $200. And in the last few weeks, it also hasn't been doing too well, although I do think Binance and CZ do actually have a solution for that. Let's actually take a look at what we are talking about right here. So, crypto treasuries siphoned $800 billion from altcoins, and it might be forever. So, crypto treasuries and corporate crypto treasuries, and like 99% of these are Bitcoin, have attracted about 800 billion from retail investors. Remember, retail investors are the ones that are buying these altcoins, mainly at the expense of altcoins, according to 10x research. Despite growing expectations of an imminent altcoin season, industry insiders are pointing to capital flowing back into Bitcoin and corporate cryptocurrency treasuries, raising doubts about the traditional crypto market cycle. Corporate digital assets treasuries DATs have drained about 800 billion worth of retail investor capital from the altcoin market. According to crypto market intelligence company 10x Research, liquidity, momentum, and conviction have all migrated elsewhere, leaving the altcoin market eerily quiet. Now, add to that fact that a lot like the open interest and basically leverage and perp index interest is basically very, very high, and you can see why no one's buying on the spot altcoin market. And their models show a decisive rotation back into Bitcoin, which is not what a lot of altcoin investors want to hear, because that might postpone or just cancel altcoin season. Altcoins have underperformed Bitcoin by roughly 800 billion this cycle, and that's the money they're saying is going into treasuries. That would be just kind of like really bad for a lot of coins. A shortfall that would have largely benefited retail investors, 10x said, adding that this is leading retail to seek alternative avenues for quick returns. So despite continued calls for altcoin season, a key altcoin indicator suggests that investors may be seeking more Bitcoin exposure rather than small cryptos. Technical altcoin models cited by 10x Research suggest that crypto investments are rotating back to Bitcoin, indicating that 19 billion crypto market crash has disrupted the momentum previously gained by altcoins. The model's pivot back towards Bitcoin came at a critical moment, 2 weeks before altcoins suffered a sharp sell-off on October 11th, 2024. Despite rising hopes for altcoin season, most indicators are signaling the opposite. So, obviously, altcoin season could definitely be in trouble. If we rotate back into Bitcoin, altcoins might lose another 20, 30%. And this will affect all altcoins, but it'll affect the smaller altcoins more. So if you take that into consideration, you might want to have a little bit more in Bitcoin or a little bit more in the major altcoins. Maybe if you want to even consider shorting, although I wouldn't do that either because the sentiment can definitely change at any time. Now, hopefully, the sentiment does change. As with falling interest rates, people might look for more risky endeavors and they'll do altcoins. But unfortunately, a lot of those risky people are going into leverage and perps instead because they really like that more because it could make them more money over a small amount of time. Although most of the time, it just gets them wrecked. So CoinMarketCap's altcoin season indicator currently stands at 23, which still signals Bitcoin season. Now, that was at 50-something a few weeks ago. And as long as the gauge does not surpass the 75 level, it's not really altcoin season. So a lot of investors do view the 19 billion liquidation event as a buying opportunity in a dynamic. But unfortunately, if the market is rotating back into Bitcoin, that means the buying opportunity is rather Bitcoin and maybe larger coins instead of altcoins. And a Standard Charters guy did actually say Bitcoin will rise to 200,000 before the end of the year. I think I've seen all the predictions from big banks, anywhere from like 130,000, which would be kind of a disappointment, to 250,000, which would actually be incredible. There are a couple of guys that say 500,000, but I'm not really going to pay too much attention to those. I think those are definitely way out there, and it would take an incredible amount of money to put us at 250,000. I would love for that to happen, but at this point, it does not seem like 250,000 is really in the cards, which is very, very unfortunate. But either way, like this, basically 800 billion that is going to crypto treasuries might be there for the long term, because I think a lot of retail investors, maybe they got burned in the last bull run, maybe they're getting burnt, they got burned this year. They see a safer alternative way to invest, and also like one that could still get them a good ROI, and they might be investing in these crypto treasuries. Yes, there are altcoin crypto treasuries, but the majority of crypto treasuries are going to be Bitcoin crypto treasuries. Like I think something like if you take Bitcoin and Ethereum treasuries, they're like 95, 99% of all the crypto treasuries there are. There are ones for like Solana and XRP, but those are fairly small compared to the Bitcoin and Ethereum treasuries. If you look at crypto price right now, even Ethereum is not faring all that well. And Bitcoin is the only one that's going to hang in there right now, because in this kind of environment, they are looking for the safer option. And Bitcoin to them is the safer option. Ethereum basically fell from 5,000 to 4,000, about a 20% decrease, because we did max at 4,942, which is essentially $5,000. Whereas Bitcoin did fall from about 125 to right now 111, but that's only like a 12% decrease. So you can see that's working out in favor of Bitcoin over altcoins. And if you actually look at Bitcoin dominance, I think you'll see that it's like, 58, 59 again. And what's keeping that down is stablecoins, because stablecoins are rapidly growing. If you take out stablecoins, Bitcoin dominance would be extremely high right now. You look at the graph, you look at Ethereum, yeah, like from basically 824 onwards, it's gone downward, and from 824 onwards, it's gone upward. If you look at altcoins, it has gone basically downward from around the end of September. And right now, that trend does not seem to be changing, as people are not excited about altcoins. Now, altcoins are about to get more ETFs. There are going to be a few more treasuries established for altcoins, but sometimes those treasuries are basically the agencies or companies themselves buying altcoins. And I'm not really sure if I would count that as excitement for investment, rather than that company trying to get the prospects of that coin up in the eyes of investors, because altcoin season has been so bad. I mean, $800 billion lacking in altcoins is a big deal. You look at Bitcoin market cap, it's 2.22 trillion. You take that away from 3.6 trillion, that's 1.8 trillion left for altcoins. But you also gotta basically subtract, well, actually like 2.22, 3.68, that is 1.4 billion left for altcoins. But you gotta subtract the 400 billion from Ethereum as well, because Ethereum is more in the same category as Bitcoin as it is for as it is for altcoins. So you subtract 400 million more. That only leaves the entire altcoin market to really be about $1 trillion, maybe even slightly less. Actually, you got to take away Tether and USDC and a lot of the stable coins, because those don't really count either. You take away USDT, USDC, you take away another $250 billion. That leaves about $700 to $750 billion for altcoins altogether. They're saying that like this treasury strategy has cost altcoins $800 billion. So you can see like the altcoin market cap would be twice as high right now if that hasn't been in case. Probably more than twice as high, and that would benefit a lot of those altcoins, obviously. Altcoin market entirely, if you take out Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins, is roughly like I said, $700 to $750 billion. Add $800 billion to that, you can see that like the prices would more than double. And if the price, if the market cap more than doubles for some of these coins, they would all be, a lot of these would actually be at all-time highs, and many of them will probably even get a boost. You take out like the top 5, the top 10, and then you look at the rest of the coins. Like imagine what a plus 600 million, plus 700 million would actually do for some of these coins, and you can see why these altcoins are suffering. I think like stuff like Hype, Aster, and stuff would be going absolutely nuts if that happened. So like in addition to perps and leverage, that is definitely one of the reasons. Now, I don't really know what it would take to get some of those investors to get away from some of the stable coins, and not some of the stable coins, some of the crypto treasuries, and to invest in smaller altcoins. Maybe when smaller altcoins actually have those treasuries, but I wouldn't bet my money on that either. Maybe when the rates come down, it will look better. But right now, we are all just guessing on what's going on. And right now, like we really, really need some of that money to flow back into altcoins. So hopefully those interest rates come down and people start feeling a little bit riskier, and they'll see that the returns from these treasuries aren't nearly as good, and they'll go back into altcoins because we definitely need that money. So let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit the bell notifications button, and I will see you guys later.